Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. Of course, Matt Connarton Unleashed is live weekdays from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. But on Saturday mornings, we like to bring you some of our favorite recent clips from the show. And we're going to open it up this week with a clip that I like to call Mother Issues, Madonna, and Murder. We get pretty deep into some personal stuff with this one. I hope you don't mind. But it's pretty interesting. And our good friend, Paulie C., or as I like to call him, Paul Cormier, makes an appearance during this clip as well. So I think you'll enjoy this. Here's our first segment to open up this week's Best of Matt Connarton Unleashed on WMNH 95.3. The youngins are back in school. Very, very exciting. I don't have any children, so that actually doesn't mean anything to me. I never did want children. You know, I've never wanted kids. I have no paternal instinct whatsoever. I really don't. It's funny too, because you know when I was, I hope I'm not oversharing. This feels very self-indulgent, but we'll get to something. I just saw something really fascinating to me just pop up on the Mediaite website. I remember like being a teenager and saying, you know, I don't think I ever want children. And of course, adults, people older than me would kind of laugh and say, well, Matt, of course you think that now. You're not supposed to want kids now. You'll change your mind as you get older. I never did change my mind. I mean, it just seems like a lot of work to me. You got to pay for stuff and take care of them and feed them and then the whole thing with the diapers and oh my goodness, horrifying. And I don't know how anyone affords it, to be honest with you. But God bless you if you're a mom or dad. And God bless my mom and dad, because without them, you know, I wouldn't be here. I mean, if I ever win some sort of an award or something, I'll probably even have to thank them. That's how much I realize, you know, they've been integral in my, existence. So, why am I talking about this? I will tell you this. I have never been formally diagnosed with ADD, but I think we all know I have it. So, that might be why. I got to focus. Oh, you know what I wanted to say about Alex Jones? Last week on the show, there was that weird thing. And you all know about it because you all were listening. Because I know you all listen every scintillating second of the program. And I appreciate that. No, last week there was this thing about Alex Jones where, because, you know, he's been deplatformed, right? He got kicked off all the social media. He got kicked off YouTube and whatnot. So it's like now you have to go directly to his website to get your Alex Jones fix. But there was that weird thing last week where YouTube unbanned him for like a day or something and then just rebanned him. And it was very, very odd. We'll get to the bottom of it. No, I mean, we won't really. It's not like I'm going to launch some sort of investigation into this, try to figure out what happened. I don't care that much. And I'm kind of lazy. What I just saw on Mediaite pop up, and this is not from The Onion. This is real. And I love stories that sound like they're from The Onion when they're actually real. MSNBC host asks mind-blowing question. When Mike Pence is with both his wife and mom, who does he call mother? I have not pre-read this. I don't know the context of this, but I'm fascinated. I've always been oddly fascinated by that. I remember when I was a kid, my stepfather, Greg, my mother's second husband, I remember spending summers in Dixon, Illinois with my mom and Greg's family. Dixon, Illinois, if you're not familiar with Dixon, Illinois, it's a very, very small town. but they have a giant arch, almost as big as the St. Louis Arch when you enter Dixon, Illinois. The reason being, Dixon, Illinois is the birth. This is 100% true. This is not to be funny. This is true. Dixon, Illinois is the birthplace of Ronald Wilson Reagan. Do you remember Reagan? He's the conservative Republican president that conservatives worshipped at the altar of before, of course, the most godly president ever, Donald John Trump, came along. And now, of course, Reagan is all but forgotten. But Ronald Reagan, for those who remember, was at one time the patron saint of conservatism. Anyway, so they're very, very proud of this in Dixon, Illinois. And so there's a giant arch in Dixon. So Greg's parents, my step-grandparents, or my mom and Greg are divorced now, so I guess they're my ex-step-grandparents, or were. They may be dead. I remember noticing that my step-grandfather would call my step-grandmother mother. And I must tell you, I didn't quite know what to make of it. I didn't know if it was a Midwestern thing. I've never seen that in this part of the country. So I don't know if geography plays a role in that or not. If it's a Midwestern thing, if it's a other part of the country thing, just not on the coast, but, in flyover country. No offense. I just don't know how else to put it. I don't know. I've never seen that in the Northeast. Maybe it happens here. But I remember the first time I saw and heard it happen, I thought it was a fluke. I thought I had misunderstood something. And I might have even wondered, wait a minute. Have I been confused? Is that not his wife, but actually his mother? I didn't know. Now, and please don't judge me too harshly. I was just a wee lad, a young urchin. Because my parents split up at a really young age, and then everybody remarried. So I was pretty young, but it was a little confusing to me and a little weird. Now, again, I mean no offense to anyone who might be listening who, maybe you're an older person and you call your wife mother. If you do that, I have to tell you, I'm a little creeped out by it. I don't understand it, and I think it's weird. And I kind of wonder what's wrong with you that would make you want to call your wife mother. But I mean no offense. I mean, look, that's your deal. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe in your family, that's just what you do. Who am I to judge? I'm no one. I mean, I'm not in any position to judge. You know what? Not only have I never had children of my own, I've never been married either. Maybe if I were married, I would call my wife mother. I don't think I would. I think that'd be pretty weird. I'd feel a little creepy. I mean, it sounds, well, frankly, it seems a bit Oedipal, if you know what I'm saying. Why would you do that? So, now, Mike Pence, of course, apparently he calls his wife mother. Mike Pence, not from Illinois, but he is from Indiana, right next door. Also the Midwest. So maybe it's a Midwestern thing. I don't know. But apparently, someone at MSNBC got a little curious because I never asked either. Like when I was a kid, because you got to understand too, I wasn't like you see these kids now. I'll tell you, there's no introverts running around. Kids now will just say anything. When I was growing up, children were to be seen and not heard. No, I'm kidding. No one ever treated me that way. No, I was always encouraged to express myself. I was just very, very shy. I was a little introvert growing up. So I never would have had the nerve to actually speak up and say, excuse me, Grandpa, why do you call Grandma mother? Because I'm from New England and I don't get it, and I'm a little bit creeped out and I don't understand. So, but anyway, maybe it's a Midwestern thing. I don't know. But somebody did ask. So it says here, again, this is from Mediaite. MSNBC host Stephanie Rule evoked a perplexing conundrum when she mocked Vice President Mike Pence by asking how he decides which woman he should refer to as mother when traveling with both Second Lady Karen Pence and Second Mom Nancy Pence. On Tuesday morning's edition of MSNBC Live with Stephanie Rule, the Washington Post's Phil Rucker noted that Pence's decision to stay at a Trump property in Ireland was not normal. Rucker said, quote, "This is an official government trip, although its staff has indicated that the Pence family is paying for the family members who are doing this travel. He's traveling with his mother and with his wife, the Second Lady Karen Pence, but it's strange. I mean, a lot of his official meetings are in Dublin. That is not where he is staying. Dublin is a big city. Certainly they have hotels that could accommodate the vice presidential delegation, but instead they're staying at the Trump Golf Resort." And then Stephanie Rule said, quote, "It's also confusing if he's traveling with his mom. Which one does he call mother?" Unquote. Oh, Stephanie Rule. Although Pence's former spokesman has said he does not recall Pence using the maternal moniker on his wife, multiple named sources and witnesses have confirmed that he does. Pence also famously refuses to dine with a woman if his wife is not present. Rule's question also raises a mystifying variation of the omnipotence paradox. Can God create a nickname for his wife so creepy that even he won't use it? That is funny. That's probably not funny to some of you. It's funny to me. And the thing about that other thing too, I mean, he won't dine with a female if his wife is not present. That is an interesting thing. There was a politician, a Republican in the South, I know, where else would this happen, who I don't remember the name. I don't remember any of the names involved, but it caused kind of a stir because he wouldn't even meet with the journalist privately to answer questions because the journalist was a female. And he apparently feels, for religious reasons, that he must not be alone with a female who is not his wife or something like that. It is interesting. I'm not, by the way, look, the calling wife mother thing to me is weird, but whatever. The not being alone with a female if you're married thing is, I mean, that's weird too, in the sense that, you know, look, if you, I mean, what are you worried about? Are you so worried that, are you really that worried that you're just going to lose control and make a pass at somebody? So it's that whole lead me not into temptation thing. I mean, it just seems so impractical, but I don't know. I mean, part of it just seems just so strange. And then there's a part of me that almost admires it in a way. I mean, but I mean, the discipline involved in that. But then there's a part of me that thinks, isn't that kind of sexist though? Because you're, you know, if you're in a, well, look, if you want to treat men and women as equal as professionals, isn't there something sexist about saying, well, 50% of these people I can't be alone with, and not because of anything they've done, but because I'm afraid of what could happen, because I might be tempted to, I don't know. It's weird. Rocky Huber in the Facebook live chat says, it happened to me when my daughter was born. I would call my wife by her first name. So that's what my daughter started calling her instead of mom when she was first learning. But once she understood the difference, I stopped calling her mom. Oh, I get it. I see what you're saying, Rocky. So, no, that makes perfect sense, though. That's perfectly logical. There's nothing creepy about that. So just to clarify for anyone who didn't understand, because it took me a second to get what he meant, but I get it now. So, in other words, so that his daughter would learn to call, her mother, mom, Rocky would call her mom to get her daughter to call her mom, instead of calling her by her first name. No, I totally get that. That makes perfect sense. Michael Albers says, liberals, we need to do something about gun violence. Conservatives, guns don't kill people, people kill people. We need to keep guns out of hands of mentally unstable people. Liberals, great. Let's have universal health care so everyone can get mental health care. Conservatives, don't mess with my doctor. Don't mess with who my doctor is. And why should I have to pay for someone else? It's a great observation, Michael. Candace Johnson says, dads call their wives mom all the time because of kids. Yeah, no, I get that. And I get that, Candace. And that's what Rocky Huber is saying. I get that. But then why when there's no reason to? You know what I mean? Like when my stepfather's father would call his wife mother, there just seemed to be no reason to, unless it just becomes habit. Is that what it is? Maybe that's what it is. I mean, maybe Rocky and Candace have helped figure this out. Maybe that's what that's from. And it becomes habit. It's still weird to me, though. It's still odd to me. Like, again, like Rocky, the example you were using, that makes perfect logical sense to me. In the short term. But like you said, once your daughter was old enough and got it, you went back to calling her by her actual name, not mom. I mean, Candace says, not to me. What's not to you? It's not weird to you? That's a little weird to me, Candace. I don't know. I mean, there are certain, I'm not even going to go there. There's just certain instances where it would be really, really, really weird is what I'm saying. But I had, because I mentioned earlier about how I had a really odd thing happen. Can't believe I'm going to talk about this on the air, but it kind of relates to this. It does relate to this. So in terms of what to call people in a family situation, I mentioned earlier that my parents divorced when I was very young. I was very young. I was like maybe 6 years old. But everybody, don't shed any tears. I mean, everybody remarried, and I just kind of ended up with a larger family because both my parents remarried relatively soon afterwards. So it actually worked out okay. I had a pretty good, normal childhood. So it's not a sob story. I don't want to mislead anybody. But my parents did split up when I was really young. But a weird thing that happened, so my dad got custody of me, got primary custody, which at that time was kind of unusual. It's a lot less unusual now. But at that time, it was much more common for the mother to get custody. But my dad got custody. He fought for custody. And so per the custody agreement, because my mom ended up moving back to Illinois. Like I said, she was living in Dixon for a while with Greg. So I would spend the summers out there. I would be here for the school year, and then I would spend the summers in Chicago. Eventually, because, well, she moved from Dixon back to Chicago anyway, because they ended up getting divorced. And then my mom got married to a third person. My mom's on her fourth marriage. It doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. Here's what matters. So my dad on his second marriage, he was married to this woman named Debbie. I'm using real names. I don't care. She's never going to hear this. Trust me, she doesn't care about anything I do, let alone this show. So she lives in New York State. I haven't seen her in decades. Don't care to. We got along really, really well early on, my stepmother and I. Toward the end, not so much. But anyway, so I would call Debbie by her name. I would call her Debbie because she wasn't my mother. She was my stepmother. So I would call my mother Mom, and I would call Debbie Debbie or Deb. We got along really well for a long time. So much so I got very comfortable with her. I thought of her like a second mother, and I would call her Deb. And I loved her like my mom, I mean, not exactly like my mom, because, you only have one mom, but there was a very weird thing that happened where at a certain point, my dad and Debbie sat down with me. I will never forget this moment. They sat down with me and had a talk with me, and they were very gentle about this, what they were presenting. It wasn't a hard sell. They weren't telling me that I had to do anything. They were asking me to please try to do this. They sat down. Debbie didn't say a word, I don't think, during the entire conversation. But looking back on it, I do think it was her idea. My father said to me, we've been talking about this, Maddie. He called me Maddie. He still does. And we think it would be nice if you would call Debbie Mom. Because for all intents and purposes, she's your mother. I mean, you have a mother, but she's in another part of the country. But when you're here, Debbie is your mother. And we think that, this is our family, and, we know you love Debbie, and, you should call her Mom. And this isn't something that we're telling you that you have to do. And my dad, to his credit, he did say, this isn't something we're telling you that you have to do. It's not a direction. It's not an instruction. But we would like it if you could do this. And by the way, we're also kind of hoping you could let this whole Michael Flynn thing go. I'm kidding about that part. Obviously, this was decades earlier. That was a joke. No, the Michael Flynn thing. But he did say, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. But he did say, we would like it if you could do this. And I've never forgotten this moment as long as I live, because I look back on that moment today and I just think, wow, that was really out of line. He should not have asked me to do that. I don't know what any of you think, or if any of you care about this, but I just thought of it because as we're talking about what we call people in families, my dad, look, I love my dad, and my dad was, I would say, on balance, a very good father. So I don't want anyone to take anything wrong, like I'm sitting here trashing my dad, or, no parent is perfect, right? And everybody, no matter how great your parents may have been, everybody can look back on their childhood and think, I think mom or dad or both, I think they kind of screwed that up. They kind of made the wrong call in that instance. I kind of thought so then, and looking back on it as an adult, yeah, I was right. Man, my dad was, that's like one for me that there's very few of those things, by the way. I think my dad was a great dad. I feel fortunate to have grown up as his son, but that was not cool. Again, he was very easy about it. He was nice about it. Didn't tell me I had to do it, which is good, but it never should have been brought up to me. It just shouldn't have been. And I was still very young. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, if even that. And they're sitting down and having this talk with me. I didn't like it. And, I was pretty precocious for my age. So even at that age, I was able to process this as it's happening in real time. I remember sitting there thinking, this is entirely inappropriate. This is not okay. He should not be asking me to do this. If I'm going to call her mom, that should be something that happens naturally and organically, because I just feel over time like calling her mom. But I already have a mother, and that's who I call mom. So on a couple of different levels, this isn't okay, and I should not be asked to do this. So knowing that, my response to all of this was kind of, I did the old, and I still do this as an adult sometimes, and I'm not saying this is a great way to approach anything. But if I'm in that, if I'm in that sort of weird place where someone's saying something to me and I almost, again, when it comes to personal stuff, I don't mean in business or anything, but when it comes to personal stuff, when somebody's saying something to me and I almost just don't even get where this is coming from or why they're saying this, or I'm having trouble understanding like the dynamic of what's going on here, I kind of do that, yeah, sure, whatever kind of thing, right? And that's basically what I did to my dad and Debbie, because she was sitting there too, silent. I was kind of like, when my dad's like, yeah, if you could just try, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. While in my mind, I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. You're telling me I have to try? Okay, I can pretend to try, right? You can't prove I'm not trying. I can pretend I'm making every effort in the world to force the word mom out of my mouth while talking to this woman who is not my mother. But I'm not really going to do it. I'm going to continue to call her Debbie because that's who she is. And it doesn't mean I love her any less because I'm calling her by her actual damn name. But that's who she is. She's Debbie. I didn't come popping out of her womb. She ain't my mom. Sorry, buddy. Deal with it. That's what I was thinking. I would never have had the nerve to say any of that. So I didn't agree to it. I was very careful to not say, yes, I'll do that. I was just kind of shrugging like, yeah, okay. I'll try, I guess, whatever. Knowing that, no, I was never, ever going to do that. And I never did. And I never did. But you know what's funny? Here's the irony of that is there were moments where I almost did call her that organically and naturally, because like I said, I did love her like she was, like she almost was my mother. But after that conversation, I was like, forget it. I'm never calling her mom. And I was defiant about it. And then, of course, later on, as I got to be a teenager and so forth, I began to realize what a lunatic she was. So it's all just as well. And I've not seen her in many, many decades, but we are joined in the studio here. We have a visitor.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's me.
Well, I didn't know.
Paul Cormier.
Okay, I was asking because you were talking a little different there.
Well, I'm working on doing something new here.
I didn't know if you were like a character.
It sounded like me with a Brooklyn accent, so I didn't want to do that.
I like because I like the spontaneity, so I don't want to accidentally, because I made a mistake once where someone was calling on the phone as a character, and I was like, but I didn't know they were doing a character at first.
And you introduced them as themselves.
And I introduced them, and then they had to correct me, and it was awkward. But we recovered from it, We got right back on track, but it was awkward. Paul, do you ever...
Smike's... falling apart.
It's a little droopy there.
Yes. Do I ever what, Matt? I'm sorry.
So, have you ever known someone who, or witnessed someone, probably of an older generation, if you have seen this, call his wife mother?
Yes.
You have seen that.
I've seen that. A lot on, not in, maybe once or twice in real life, but mostly on TV. You know, I'm a huge MASH fan, as you know.
Yes.
The TV show MASH.
Yes, I was as well growing up. Yes.
And Colonel Potter calls his wife mother.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So
yes.
I think it's an old school thing from way back at the beginning of the 20th century going into the mid 20th century type of thing.
Well, apparently, Vice President Mike Pence, he's not president yet. Vice President Mike Pence
and douchebags.
Calls his wife mother. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, a couple listeners in the Facebook live chat and I think we've come up with a theory that the reason this may happen is because when a couple has a child and the father is trying to get the child to call the mother mom or mother or something rather than calling them their first name, so they fall into the habit of referring to the wife or calling the wife mother or something or mama or whatever instead of by their first name, and then it just becomes a habit.
I think you're reading into it too much. You
think so?
Yeah, I think that it is just a term of endearment that a husband is calling a wife by the title of what she is in the family, but he's saying it as a term of endearment at the time. That's how at least I read it with Colonel Potter, using him as an example, if we may.
Yes.
When he's referring to her or speaking to her on the phone, he calls her mother, and based on their background of the fictional characters, they're very much in love with each other.
Yes.
They have a sweet, loving relationship. They have a lot of kids, and she's mother. She's mother, and that is her title of their family. You know, she's the mother of their kids, and she's probably a good mom, you know, based on the character Colonel Potter and what he says about her and how he gloats about her.
Yes.
So that's just, she's mother. That's all. The mother of the family.
Now, I have to admit, taking that into consideration, because as you know, I've seen every episode of MASH many times, it all suddenly seems less creepy.
Yeah.
When you bring Colonel Potter into it, it all seems not creepy to me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on how you look at it. I don't think that, and I can see how one would interpret it as being creepy, calling your wife mother.
Yes.
But it's not, I don't think it's that. I think you're just calling the woman that you love mother because you guys have kids, and you're just calling her mother.
But there are certain scenarios where
if you guys didn't have kids and you were calling her mother, that would probably be a little bit on the creepy side.
Right.
Like, I don't go around calling my girlfriend mother. I never called my ex-wife mother.
Right.
If you guys were married and didn't have any children and you were calling her mother, that is a little weird.
Right.
There'd be no reason to call her mother.
Right, right.
Unless she had kids from a previous marriage and
were... Even then, that would be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, anyway.
No.
I hear what you're saying, but...
Yeah.
Mother.
I know what song I'm going to close with today.
Speaking of that, if it's the song I think.
Yeah, it probably is.
When my mom passed away, during the funeral procession from the church to the graveyard, Mother by Pink Floyd came on the radio.
Oh, that's not the song I'm thinking of.
Oh, what song are you playing?
I don't want to say. You'll all find out together.
Okay. Does it have the word mother in it?
It sure does. Mother. You know the song. A little gem from the early 1990s.
You see, now you get me all wondering. And
Oh, you still don't know, even with me just mangling the melody there? I can't remember the rest of the lyrics.
Maybe Virtual J.H. knows who that is. Virtual John, do you know who that was?
Oh, he definitely won't know. Because he stopped listening to music in 1991.
Oh, really?
That's when he decided he was done with music. The last album he bought, this is true, the last album he bought was the Immaculate Collection from Madonna. And that was it. He decided that was all the music he'll ever need. You know? And who can blame him?
Well, after that album,
right?
Who wouldn't stop listening to music?
Yep. So he just stopped.
I wonder if he bought that big book that came along with that album that had the big stainless steel cover. Remember that book by Madonna?
Yeah, I do.
I have to admit, I bought it.
You did?
I did. I used that book many times, Matt.
What did you use it for? What was in it?
A lot of provocative pictures, man.
Well, isn't she in the nude?
She might be. She's got very sexy pictures in that book with Vanilla Ice. That's why I bought it.
I don't think Vice President Pence would approve of that.
No. She was one sexy mother in that book.
Wow. So would you read the book and call her mother?
No. In fact, you know what? The book itself was just a bunch of stupid big photos and dumb quotations and it was dumb. It was essentially a book that I got talked into to buy because it was a collector's a collector's thing, because of the fact that it was like the cover was a big hunk of stainless steel. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do.
And the back cover was the same way.
Yeah.
And in 1991, I was on my second year of being a DJ.
Yeah.
Nightclub DJ.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to get one of these. Everybody's buying one of these. Everybody I hung out with in music bought one of these.
Right.
So I bought one of them too. And it never left the packaging. I never opened it.
Yeah.
I never opened like the cellophane seal that it came in.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't even know where it went. I think my ex-wife has it.
Oh, no kidding.
But I saw the inside because I had a friend who opened it, my gay friend Colin.
Yes.
And he bought it, and it was just a book full of stupid, big, high glossy photos of Madonna being Madonna.
Yeah.
And there are some photos with her being really provocative with Vanilla Ice.
Wow.
Yes.
And what about Warren Beatty? Is there any picture? Because wasn't she dating him at the time?
I don't think I remember seeing. Yes, I remember that because they did the Dick Tracy video. And, movie. But I can't recall. I don't know. I just thumbed through it a couple of times. I don't remember that book too.
Thumbed through it.
Yes, I thumbed through it.
Wow. Hello to Dr. Jeff Cassell, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Hi, Dr. Jeff. Your fly's down.
Oh, my goodness. How do you know that?
No, it's just one day he was in the studio. And his
fly
was down.
Oh, I see. Well, he's probably put it up by now, I would think.
I would imagine so.
Stefan says, wow, Pauly C's voice sounds so warm and smooth.
Well, thank you.
You do have a great voice, Paul Cormier.
Thanks.
Stefan says, you need him to come in as a guest when you do another smooth jazz episode. You like the smooth jazz, don't you, Paul?
I love it. Little George Benson while you're drawing a bath.
Well, oh my goodness. Isn't there a picture in that book of Madonna drawing a bath listening to George Benson?
I think so.
Or is it, no. Oh, no, I remember now. She's drawing a bath and George Benson is in the bathtub.
Right.
Yes.
Drawing her.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It's
got a sketch pad, couple of pens.
Right. It was very, very sexy. What an amazing, geez, we're almost out of time already.
We are? Yeah. Well, I did get here late.
I ran into you on the way here, of course.
I did.
I had no time to stop and talk because I try to get here by 3:30 at the latest, and I was just running terribly late. Most of the time, I have pretty good time management skills, but I falter on occasion. And today, I was hustling.
Good.
I was on the move.
You looked like you had a little OJ thing going on. Remember OJ's commercials?
I had actually just murdered someone, yes.
Yes. Wow.
Well, that's part of why I was in such a hurry.
I'm talking about the OJ like 10 years before that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When he was running through the airport with the briefcase.
Oh, like you mean commercial OJ, not murdering OJ.
Right, when he was jumping over like waiting like waiting room areas. in
that
an
OJ.
airport.
Yes.
Not jumping over corpses.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. I didn't really, the murdering thing. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. You actually admitted to murdering somebody on the air.
I was kidding, of course. I didn't really kill anybody. It's a joke. My ex-wife and her boyfriend Waiter are still very much alive.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Even though you never really liked them.
Never did.
Yeah. Never do. Never do. Not never did.
Right, exactly. Yes.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Yes. Hello to the Honorable Heidi Hamer.
Hi,
in the Facebook
Heidi.
live chat. She says, "Afternoon, kids."
Hi, Heidi.
We're children. Always nice to see our good friend Paul Cormier with us in the studio. Next on the show, the saga continues. One of the greatest rivalries, I dare say, in the history of all of media. Our very own morning man, Peter White, host of The Morning Show with Peter White, versus his arch nemesis, his foil, if you will, calling all the way from Rome, Father Bruno Sarducci. Father Bruno calling in again recently to weigh in on yet another one of Peter's recent appearances on Matt Connarton Unleashed. And this time, Father Bruno had some particularly harsh things to say, not only about comments that Peter has made, but about Peter's future in the afterlife, and mine as well. This was quite a segment, and I just have to say, I sure hope Father Bruno is wrong. But judge for yourself. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Yes, Matt. This is Father Bruno. I've been listening to your show, and I got a little disturbed.
Father Bruno Sarducci, all the way from Rome. Why did you get disturbed? Did you sense that Peter White was in the Facebook live chat?
No, I didn't pay attention to that, but he was on that show you're going to repeat, and he was talking about the corrupt priests again.
He was.
You know what? You didn't stop him, Matt, and now you're going to repeat it. This is terrible.
Well, but no, in all fairness, Father, and I see this guy, Dr. Jeff Cassell, he's in the Facebook live chat as well. I don't know if you know him, Father. I don't think he's much of a believer himself, but we did have, you should pray for him, but we did have that day, Father, in my defense, the Lord was represented here versus Peter in the studio here at WMNH, because I was also joined by our entertainment reporter, EZG Eric Gagnon, who is a devout Christian. So I thought it was actually a very balanced program.
There's no balance, Matt. There's no balance when someone like a Peter White, he talks about the creeps in the priesthood. This is not good. This is slander. This is a fake accusation. And so I have to object to this in the most strenuous way possible.
What does that entail? Like, how do you object to it strenuously?
Well, it entails you not repeating a show where this lunatic tells lies about the priests. It's a fake news. He's making it up. It's a made-up story.
Oh, I have some very bad news about that, Father. The show's already been programmed in, and Peter's gone for the weekend. The die is cast, as they say.
Well, you're gonna present a slander again.
Well,
the Catholic Church has been around a long time, Matt Connarton.
Yes.
We've been around 2,000 years. Peter White, this is a guy who will not be around very long, because he is a little speck of nothing. He is a nobody with a radio show.
Well, Father, what do you mean he's not going to be around very long? I hope that's not some sort of threat.
Well, I think it's kind of obvious what it is. We have been in power practically since the written word.
Well,
we've been around for more than 2,000 years, and you don't stick around that long, Mr. Connarton, without having a little, how do you put it in America, a little muscle. You know what I'm saying?
Father, yes. I think I do know what you're saying, but I'm worried. I mean, you're not alluding to, the Catholic Church isn't in any way involved with any other organizations from that part of the world, are you? I mean, I'm sure that's all rumor and heresy.
But listen, Mr. Connarton, there are some people that think the Catholic Church, this organization, is a giant protection racket. And I can understand how they would feel it that way. Because people give us money because they believe in our system. We keep an order in the world.
Yes.
There's a place and there's a time for everything. And there is never a time and a place for someone, this little speck of nothing, Peter White, to attack the Catholic Church and priests who give their life, they give every moment in their life to the good of humanity.
Right.
We get very little pay for this. But we have influence, and we know how to make things happen. We've been around a long time. You name one other institution that has been around as long as the Catholic Church. Search your memory. Search your mind, Matt Connarton. Tell me, who has been more influential than the Catholic Church?
I have to say, Father Bruno, you've got a little bit of a different tone today.
Well, I'm very angry about so many things. I watch the current events in your country, and it's very disturbing the way people attack the established order. The Catholic Church, our sole purpose is to maintain the status quo, to maintain the established order. People want predictability, and we have many weapons in this effort to maintain stability. We have guilt, we have anxiety, we have sin. The Catholic Church invented all of these concepts to control the dark nature of God's creatures, the human being.
Yes. Yeah. I just, but wouldn't it be better, Father? I mean, rather than being threatening toward someone like Peter White, and I'm not saying that you're threatening him, but or you want to kneecap him or anything like that. But wouldn't it be better to pray for him? I mean, wouldn't that be the more Christian thing to do? Just pray for him.
Well, Matt, I've tried to explain to you there's a mythic reality that's even greater than the real reality. Yes, we endorse prayer. We endorse it, but it's not the same as action. Prayer is what you do when you cannot act. You pray because you feel helpless.
Yes.
And now, in the case of something like Peter White, we know how to shut him down. We know how to do that. And we got many friends, even in America, that know how to shut a liar, a slanderer, like Peter White. They know how to shut him down, and people do favors for the Catholic Church because they know how important we have been.
Right. So you're saying you have friends of yours who do favors for you. Is that what you're intimating, Father?
Well,
Bruno?
friends, that might be too strong. I would use the word associate. There are associates of the Catholic Church. What would be a better word to describe it? We'll call them admirers of the established order. Fellow travelers, you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Oh, I believe I do, Father. I believe I do. Well, I will, I'm not much of a man of faith myself, but I will pray for the protection of Peter White. I think that would be, and I believe that our friend EZG, Eric Gagnon, who, again, he was representing, he wasn't here representing Catholicism, certainly, but he was representing your general belief system and so forth here that day. I mean, were you dissatisfied with how he defended God versus Peter White?
I was so offended by what the Peter White said about the priests, and he says it almost every time he's on your show. He's trying to goad me into making a call, but I restrained myself because I want to give him a little more rope. Because what happens is when you sin against God, there is a cause and an effect. Mm-hmm. And we know, in the end, what is going to happen to a Peter White. You know, he's not going to the kingdom of God. He's going to the other place, and it's not going to be very nice. There is no air conditioning in that other place. It's kind of hot.
Well, but doesn't he have the opportunity to go to purgatory, and then maybe, you burn some stuff off there, and then you get to ascend?
No, we got a special express train to hell for people like a Peter White. There's no do not pass go. There's no purgatory. There's no in-between. It's hell, only hell, forever.
So,
and that is his fate, and it could happen any day now. You know, nobody can predict how events will unfold. I just want to tell you, though, that, this is not the only thing that disturbs me.
Oh.
I am very disturbed by the way the failing New York Times treats your president, Donald Trump.
Yes. Well, would you say that the editorial board of the New York Times is also on an express train to hell?
I think they're very close. If they're not on the train, they're waiting for it. It's coming soon to pick them up. You see, it's not even the New York Times. It's the whole establishment. They need a good story, and they lie. They lie to get attention and to drag down someone that's trying to make America great again.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, we get a lot of financial support from Catholics in America, so we have a financial stake in the outcome of Donald Trump's presidency. You understand, everything's connected.
I believe me, Father. I quite do. Yes. Have you ever loaned? Has the Vatican loaned President Trump? I just, I've never thought to ask you this, Father Bruno, because we know that the Vatican has a lot of power and financial resources. Has the Vatican ever loaned President Trump money? Because you do seem to be quite favorable toward him, rhetorically speaking, even though typically the Vatican in the past has not taken such political positions. I'm just wondering, is there some sort of financial stake that you have, or is there a deeper financial relationship here with our current president, Donald John Trump?
Well, not to beat around the bush too much. Let me say that the Catholic Church, to be fair, we are the receiver of money. We are not the donator of money. And we use the money we have to create good all around the world. But we do not sponsor political figures. We support them in our own way. And you've got to understand the Catholics, they have the vote in America. And so we use our influence to make sure the correct people are elected. One hand washes the other. So, while we may not have written a check to Mr. Trump, and it's not even legal in your country because we're the Vatican, we're from outside the Vatican, it's not allowed under U.S. law, but that does not mean we don't encourage our parishioners to vote for the right people in politics who are going to protect religious thought, who are going to protect the very tenets of religion that God created, the heavens, the earth, the animals, the plants, and the people in his own image. This is the truth. But there are many people that don't care about the truth. They believe fake science, that the planet and the galaxy was created billions of years ago. It's a nonsense. It's a nonsense, but people believe it. Because so-called PhD believe it. They tell them this is what happened. How would they know?
Right. Well, that's true. I mean, it's not as though any of them
Have they been around as long as God?
That's a great point, Father Bruno. I mean, I do believe God would be the authority. I've been trying to figure out, Father Bruno, how does God talk to all these people? Sometimes on the show, I'll play audio of people who claim they receive messages from God, but they never explain how they get them.
Well, God has his own ways. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but God works in a mysterious ways. He's a mystery. You can't explain everything. The man is a magician. He creates something out of nothing. And we are only here to sanctify and glorify the one true nature of God. And we pray to him and we extol his virtues. He brings decency to all human beings.
Well, those who accept it.
Think about it, Matt. Look at the creatures in the jungle that are not made in God's image. Look at them. They're deceptive. They lie. They steal. They kill. They rape. And we, the Catholic Church alone, stands against all of this.
Well, that's
and
wonderful.
And so Peter White, because he is an instrument of Satan, he attacks the Catholic Church because he extols the vision of Satan, which is to disrupt the influence of God. It's all very clear. I don't know why you can't see it.
Well, I don't believe Peter actually is pro-Satan. I think he just doesn't believe in God.
Yes, well, there are many people that say that, and they, in due course, they will be punished for telling that lie. And in the end, you heard the expression, in a war, there are no atheists in the foxholes.
I have heard that expression, yes.
Yeah, people turn to God in a moment of extreme stress, and they will be begging God for deliverance from evil. There's much evil in the world.
There is.
And so we fight against that in the Catholic Church. And there are other religions that have copied us, but they are not as successful as the Catholic Church. They have not built a city like the Vatican.
Right. Well, that's fair enough. I mean, my dad always said the Episcopalians are kind of similar, but even they don't come close, clearly.
Well, where is their Vatican? Where is it?
That's a great
I've
point.
never read about that. I've never seen it.
That's
Where
true.
do you go to talk to the top guy in the Episcopalian Church, whoever he might be?
That's a great point, Father.
Where do you go to talk to the top Hindu or the top Buddhist? Where do you go? On top of some mountain in Asia?
I don't know. That's a great question, Father. There doesn't seem to be
they don't have the influence on the people that the Catholic Church has, and we got our own place, we got our own capital, and many countries send their diplomats to the Vatican because we cooperate with the people all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we are compensated for the doors that we open for many people and many countries. And our door is open to Donald Trump because we understand he is trying to create order in America. People complain, They complain that he wants to shut the border.
Right.
Even you, Matt, I've heard you complain about it. You shouldn't be complaining because America is full, Matt. It's full.
Well, but
your country cannot afford to take many more people. You can understand that. Just look at the rents in your own city. They're going up because there's no place to live.
That's actually
how
true.
about the rent in San Francisco? Have you looked at an apartment in San Francisco? The rent is like $4,000 for 1 month for a 700 square foot apartment.
Yes, yes.
America's full, Matt. At some point, you got to cut it off. And yes, there are people that are being detained at the border. I understand that, but it's for the good of America. These people that flood in, of course it's going to affect the economy. And these crazy rules you have, with the adjudication of whether these claims of asylum make any sense, they don't make any sense. These are hundreds of thousands of people trying to, believe me, Matt, in the Vatican, we would not put up with it. We would not put up with it for 5 minutes. No one gets to live in the Vatican unless you belong there.
But Father, many of these Hispanics are Catholics. Shouldn't we let them in?
Yeah, we have Catholics. We have representatives of the Catholic Church everywhere. But
Right.
that doesn't mean they belong in America.
Oh.
You don't have some God-given right to go to the country you want to go to. You got to have official authorization. It's like trying to get into heaven. You can't crash the border.
Right.
You try to crash the border when you don't deserve to go to heaven, bad things happen, and you know where you go.
There could be, as we speak right now, Father, there could be a caravan of immigrants careening toward heaven right now. I'm sure St. Peter won't let them in.
Yeah, well, you can bet your last dollar, Mr. Connarton, that we examine each and every immigrant who wants to go to heaven. We examine their qualifications.
Yes.
God is all-knowing. He's everywhere. He watches. He writes it down. He keeps track. And if you screw up, you don't get into God's kingdom. That's the way it works. Everybody knows that.
That's right.
So, maybe people try to crash our border, but we're not going to let them in. That's not what's going to happen. You get in with good works. You get in by trying to save your country like Donald Trump.
Yes.
This is a man. He will go straight to heaven.
Straight to heaven.
Because this is a man who is trying to make America great again.
Yes, yes. And he's already been absolved of his sins, right? Because he's never actually asked for forgiveness, apparently.
What sins? What are you talking about? What has the guy ever done wrong? This guy is a pillar of decency.
No, I mean,
I would put him up against any American. And he fights very hard for every one of your people.
Yes,
So you must respect what he's trying to do instead of trying to tear him down like you do on your radio show, because your show is subversive.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, no. Well, I don't. So what are my odds of getting into heaven, Father Bruno? You've never really.
100%, Matt. Your odds of going to hell are 100%.
No,
don't even think about heaven. You're not going. It's not happening.
I can't.
You admit you are not a believer. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think that someday I'm going to die, and that'll probably kind of be it.
Yeah, well, it's not, Matt. You really didn't study too hard when you went to Sunday school where they explained all of this.
Well,
so you live in this fake story, this fraudulent universe where you live, you die. That's it.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works.
Oh, okay. All right.
You have a soul that is everlasting, and that soul. It's greater than your body, and it survives. And if you do good things during your life, and you don't tear down God, and you don't call priests corrupt, and you don't attack the Catholic Church, and you go to church every Sunday, you're in good hands with the Catholic Church. But you have violated all of those rules. So I'm sorry, you're not getting in. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting in, Matt. It's over.
Oh.
There's nothing you can do. You can't even beg forgiveness. You have sinned too much.
But wait a minute. But what about Donald Trump? I mean, he did a lot of bad things before he came to the Lord. Isn't there time? Like what?
Like a what? Like a what?
I mean, raw dogging a porn star while his wife is at home with their newborn child. I mean, just things like that. Nothing major. I'm just saying.
He denied all that. Let me ask you to prove it. You prove it. Were you there? Were you there, Matt Connarton? Did you see it with your own two eyes, or are you just listening to the fake news?
I'll be honest with you, Father Bruno. I have intentionally avoided even seeing that image with my imagination, let alone my own two eyes. So no. And I cannot.
Okay. I'm getting a little tired arguing with you.
Yeah.
You get nowhere with these atheists. It's like talking to a born-again Christian. They think they know everything. But actually, the Catholic Church and the Vatican is the repository of all knowledge.
Oh.
And we alone can bring you to the promised land. That's all I got to say for today. I'm getting a little irritated with you, and I want to give you special instruction. I want you to keep Peter White quiet about talking bad things about the priests.
Right.
This is a guy who ought to confine his language, and he ought to confine his thoughts to his own personal shortcomings, his character defects, instead of attacking us.
Right. Well,
his time would be better spent. That's all I got to say, Mr. Connarton, and I'm going to conclude the call right now. Thank you very much.
All right, Father Bruno. Thank you for the call. That was the great Father Bruno Sarducci, of course. I believe he's the nephew of Father Guido Sarducci. He never remembers, by the way. And this is, and he hasn't been doing radio as long as I have, I don't think. So this might be why he doesn't think of it. He never remembers to plug his show. But I'll plug his show. He does a show. I believe it's on, I think it's called Vatican Radio. It's from the Vatican. I think you can get it. If you've got one of those shortwave radios, you can actually get it transcontinental. He does a show called the Getting a Right to With the Jesus. So, I always forget, is it getting or get? Get a right to with Jesus. Anyway, but he never plugs his show. But I'm happy to do it for him. I always enjoy talking to Father Bruno, even though it sounds like he feels that the prospects for my personal salvation are quite dim, which is troubling to me. I do have to correct him on one thing. I don't really consider myself an atheist. I'm more of an agnostic, but that might sound like a distinction without a difference, but we have another call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello, this is Easy G.
Easy G. Oh, hang on, Easy G. I've got your theme music right here. Except
right.
I don't have it ready. So
I had to follow up Father Bruno. My God.
All right. Well, pun fully intended. Oh, here's your theme music, Easy G. We'll just play a little bit because you're Easy G and your time is now. All right, there you go. It's Easy G. Do you have a rebuttal to Father Bruno? I tried to stick up for you, Easy G. I thought you did very well in representing organized religion versus the
he was just
versus
ready
Peter.
To tell you and Peter White, I guess you're going to burn.
Peter White is apparently on the express train to hell. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I guess you're going to tag along. Oh my God!
I'm not on the express train.
Next time he calls, you need to tell him that that is not his right to judge.
Oh,
the good
right.
Lord is the one, the ultimate judger. Where does he get off telling you guys that you're going to burn?
Where does he get off? There's a joke in there somewhere, but this is afternoon drive. But
it was funny. A real quick funny story for you.
Yes.
It's over at the watching that horror, kind of a horror flick, the Jaws last night.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I saw it when I was a kid, I think, and it probably
It's
wasn't
very scary. And
it's graphic.
I saw it last night at the in town. They had a free concert night at the park there.
I'm surprised they would show that publicly in the park. Actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
I know it was all make believe. Obviously, like
no, that's a documentary.
Not really
I'm
true.
kidding. Right. No, of course.
But there was kids in the audience, and
I'm a little surprised. I mean, I'm not judging, but I'm a little bit surprised they would show that there. But whatever.
Yeah,
I guess.
But it was funny though, because I bumped into this guy, and I said, "Hey, who are you?" and he says, I don't know if you ever, you've probably seen him on the Facebook Live, Michael Alber.
Yes. He's very often in the Facebook Live chat.
Yes, and it was his son, and he says after the son says, who is that guy? You know, I took a selfie with him.
Oh.
And he says celebrity. He's on the radio.
That's right.
I said, I don't know if I'm a celebrity. But.
You're the entertainment reporter, Easy G. There is no bigger celebrity.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Have you met Michael Alber?
I don't believe we've ever met in person, but I often see him in the Facebook Live chat.
Oh yeah. Then what's his face was there with his girl?
What's his face?
Ed Murphy.
Ed Murphy. Yes. He helped you move.
Yes. Shout out to Ed Murphy. He was there at the park last night, too.
Shout outs. I like to give plural shout outs.
Yeah, before we go, if anybody's interested, I won't be checking it out, but Amanda McCarthy is going to be playing down the street in about 20 minutes at the Murphy's Tap Room. So.
Oh, she's playing today, Amanda McCarthy. Fantastic. Locally right here in Manchester at Murphy's. That's wonderful.
Yes.
How long?
So enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Easy G. Bye-bye. All right. That was the great Easy G, Eric Gagnon, and his time is now. Got to play him out.
Time is up, my time is now. You can't see me.
Very nice. You can't see him. Well, he's not actually here. You're listening to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed, as we do this every Saturday morning now from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. And next on the show this week, so we have been covering on the show periodically the ongoing controversy at the local VA, but this is something that, affects VAs nationally. But there is a Bible, a very large Bible on display in a building where, you are supposed to have separation of church and state, and there's not supposed to be any establishment of a specific religion. So having that Bible on display, I believe, violates the Establishment Clause, and it is unconstitutional. And John Hopwood feels that way as well. And so does Mikey Weinstein, who again called into the show. Mikey Weinstein is a national figure. He is the founder of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and he is himself a man of faith, but is fighting to keep religion out of the VA. So he called in to discuss the newest story arc here, as Vice President Mike Pence recently made some comments about this, supporting keeping the Bible there and so forth. So we get into this with John Hopwood. Mikey Weinstein does call in, and then our friend Mike Doyle calls in, who seems to be taking something of a different position on this, and he and John Hopwood get into a bit of an argument, which always makes for compelling radio. So I think this is this next clip that you're going to hear, this next segment, both very informative and entertaining at the same time. So there's a lot of passion in this, and it is an important issue. John Hopwood even threatens to sue Vice President Pence over his comments. So this is pretty intense stuff. So, without further ado, here it is. It's a long clip, so this is our final segment on this week's Best of Matt Connarton Unleashed.
And my message to Vice President Pence, I'm going to sue you for violating my federal civil rights, and Trump, and the VA. They are violating my federal civil rights. As I've said in my series of articles, began on Manchester Inklink, but my Medium column, this is in my opinion, but, it is a calculated attempt to, in my opinion, to create another potential Charlottesburg right here in New Hampshire, the primary state, the first in the nation primary. And this was calculated, and they had to have the constitutional grounds to put that Bible in the box on that table. Let me explain to the folks is, a lot of times there's what's called a missing in action, POW table, that are in VA veterans hospitals. It is a burlesque, in my opinion, of the Last Supper. Instead of the 12, there's 6. You know, it's created, I think, by Vietnam era pilots. If anybody used to watch the old like World War I movies with the aces there, or even World War II, like the RAF, they'd lose somebody and they'd go in, there'd be an empty space and they'd have a drink for the person. Mm-hmm. But MIA, this table is called Missing Man, not MIA. So it's already gendered, which is offensive, because if anybody knows the history of the Manchester Veterans Administration Medical Center, is our all-female, all-woman congressional delegation, spearheaded by CD2 Annie Custer, who has been out there trying to protect the rights of women in the military and at the VA, asked for a separate entrance for women veterans suffering from military sexual trauma. Oh. Because being around men, and we can be crude, and I'm admitting myself, I've been like, sure. You say stuff, you're with,
of course, yeah.
We're like back in the Army and stuff. They can get easily triggered. And I wrote an article about MST. They had a show about it called The Clothesline Project that was used on the National VA site. Mm-hmm. In Bedford, Massachusetts, at the Veterans Hospital I go to for some of my care, in which I'm going to request transferring completely out of this place because it's hostile, and I'm not, and we'll get into that later. At the Bedford Hospital, they've got the table. Where would you think that it should be properly placed? Since it's a table celebrating, like, a mess, like a pilot's mess. It's in the cafeteria. But no, this was put in the main foyer of the Manchester VA hospital, right across from the picture of Trump and Wilkie. We can go into the other stuff because it's so fascinating that when Wilkie, who's made offensive comments about trying to establish his religion onto me and others, which I find incredibly offensive and triggering. Because remember, I complained continually about an anti-Muslim employee up there.
Oh, yeah,
who was just, they let her. You remember when we were. That was when you were doing the show. You were just about to start this show.
Which was actually shocking to me that someone would even.
You were with me when they sent me the message.
Yes.
We were talking. You were going to go on the show like the next week, and they said they were answering a letter to me, and then they lied. They lied. The assistant director who was taken out by the scandal, but given another job down there.
Of course.
He actually lied to Senator Shaheen, saying, I told him when I was with you, because we were at Puerto Vallarta, and I'd had like a tequila. No, I can't talk to you. No, I'm having dinner. Call me back later. And I think it was Friday night, or like Friday at 5 or 5:30. And then he sends the letter that exact day. He refused to talk to me.
Right.
That's never been even adjudicated. But I'm up there. You know how I like to go. We'll come back.
Yeah.
At the time of the Quebec City massacre at a mosque, and I have Islamic family members who I love.
Yeah.
And this guy is continually caught towel heads, and people are asking him to stop because the psychologists up at the VA, they've got to break the hold of the other on a veteran, or they'll be in hell for the rest of their life.
Oh, yeah.
Where they don't want Vietnam vets to say gook.
Right, of course.
They don't want them to, but, they've been, that's years and years of the conditions them.
Right.
So they do great progress with the younger veterans, so they don't hate Muslims, because you're in that situation. It's just, all this stuff, it's very natural to hate the other.
Right.
It fires you up.
But then
it's a shorthand that's in our brains.
Right. But then to carry that with you through the rest of your life will destroy you.
So here's people that have been, and he just keeps doing it.
Yeah.
Then he never gets disciplined. I write to Carol Shea Porter. He's telling the people, somebody sent a letter to the congresswoman.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So
to
I'm
me.
known up there for getting him fired. I guess.
Yeah.
So I already got that onus on me.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. So that happened. And I mentioned that when I was with Al Montoya and Carol, when they're rolling out the new paradigm. MUR is there. It's online and everything. How well he did. Because I'm not blaming him. Because when this Bible, they made the complaint, he took it away. Then immediately it comes back. And then it's put in a big plexiglass box. The Bible in the box.
Right, yeah.
But it's not discreetly in the cafeteria.
Right.
It's in.
So it's in everyone's face.
It is right there in the entrance that women with MST have to go through because they have to go up there to get to the 5th floor, which is where the psychiatric thing, and all the lobbying that to get the women either a separate entrance or a building, and anybody we can. I think Ben Dion is on the historical commission or something. They want to preserve one of the building that the director used to be in because it's a nice example of prairie architecture of that famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. And they said, well, this could be a place where women sufferers of MST trauma could go so they don't get triggered. All that's gone down, all down the drain.
We have a call. Huh? This could be him. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, my name is Mikey Weinstein. How are you?
Hi, Mikey Weinstein. Yes, we have spoken before. Welcome back to the show. John Hopwood is here, of course. I know that he invited you on today, but we played. I don't know if you've gotten to hear anything, but we did play a few minutes ago the clip. Played the audio of Mike Pence's comments that are up on his Twitter feed, talking about how the Bible stays in the at the Manchester VA. But can you kind of, for people who didn't hear your previous appearance on the show and aren't familiar, can you kind of remind everyone who you are and what you do and the organization and what you're fighting for here?
Sure. And guys, I wish I had a little bit more time. We're just kind of in a media storm today with both Pence tweeting what he did and then the idiot Trump retweeting it. Was going to say repensing it earlier to this morning. So I only have a few minutes, but I'm the founder and president of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. We're a large civil rights organization representing in excess of 65,000 active duty reserve guard and members of the U.S. military veterans as well. About 95% of them happen to be Christians. We have 17 client families connected with the controversy of the bolted down Bible. Thereby in your neighborhood, in Manchester, at the Veterans Administration Medical Center. And, of course, our number one person is our veteran there is our client, very valiant man by the name of Jim Chamberlain, who is a devout Christian, former Air Force tanker pilot who's our named plaintiff in that case. As I mentioned, we have 16 additional ones. The majority of them happen to be Christians as well. And so we are the ones that are facilitating that lawsuit with our excellent law firm there, and our attorney is Larry Vogelman, who's a very well-respected attorney in the area with the Davin Nixon law firm.
Okay. So obviously today's kind of a big day in all this where it seems like, the Trump administration is really trying to kind of shove it in everyone's faces with Pence's comments. Is this the first time, by the way, that Pence or Trump or anyone else from the administration has made such a forceful statement on this specifically, publicly?
Yes, on this one. But there is a statement I have about Mike Pence. I've been asked a million times since this started yesterday.
Yeah.
So I sent it to John, but I'd like to read it to you on the show now, if that's okay.
Absolutely, please.
Mike Pence is one of the most repulsive and repellent fundamentalist Christian supremacists and bullies on the scene today. He, as a full-fledged member of, quote, the family, religious cabal, and by that, please see the recent Netflix documentary and author Dartmouth professor Jeff Sharlett's books on this fundamentalist Christian extremist organization called The Family. It's hardly surprising that Pence is lending his ugly bigotry and pervasive prejudice in support of keeping that Christian Bible bolted down on the POW MIA table at the Manchester, New Hampshire VA Medical Center. I tweeted back at Pence yesterday and just said, hey, Pence, got fundamentalist Christian privilege, you little snowflake. And, that's where we stand. I shouldn't even have to explain to anybody why that's wrong. The VA is a state actor. If you want to be In-N-Out Burger, Hobby Lobby, or Chick-fil-A, And they do this. Put up your POW MIA table and put a Bible on it. You're a private company, but not when you're a state actor. Veterans come in all sizes, shapes, colors, national origin, religious faith, and no faith. We have plenty of secularists, atheists, agnostics, and humanists that happen to be veterans. And in the case in our lawsuit right here, we have an evangelical Christian, wonderful, plaintiff, and we have the majority of the people that have come to us asking for us for help happen to be Christians. We have Muslims, we have Jews, we have atheists, agnostics, Native Americans. And so this is the first time that Pence, who basically is the servile, ass kisser of the ignorant, entitled Trump, has decided to weigh in. But of course, the level of the daisy chain is kind of like being poorly educated leads to ignorance, which leads to fear, which leads to hatred, which leads to bigotry and prejudice, which ends up with blood in the streets. So that's what we're dealing with.
I agree with you totally. Before you came here, I was speaking of that. I believe, Mikey, first of all, Mike Pence is a liar. He lied. That Bible was not in World War II. Well, I established that as a journalist.
Yes.
And why the media and why our Democratic congressional delegation here in the state of New Hampshire and why the Democratic presidential candidates are ignoring this, but they ignore veterans, except Chris Pappas, who's new and a good guy. But let me, back in, Matt knows because we were on a TV show before we got the radio show. There was the previous administration there allowed anti-Muslim bigotry, which to me was extremely offensive because I have Muslim family members. My niece converted to Islam. She met somebody and fell in love when she was on duty in Kosovo. And, he's a beloved member of our family, and they are Muslim. And her child, my grandniece. And at the time of the Montreal mosque massacre, or it could be Quebec City, he's making these comments. And I complained and complained. Nothing would happen. Then I sent a letter to Carol Shea Porter, our former congresswoman. He's mocking it. Finally, something happened. So now I'm known up there, I guess I'm the one who got rid of the guy that he got fired. I don't know that for a fact. But, this is extremely triggering to me because when I was doing an interview, the one that was with Manchester Inklink before when they had the flyover, one of the people I interviewed, when I was interviewing him, he knew all of this stuff beforehand. He actually had music talking about this situation right in his truck. And he also told me, and I didn't print it, he had a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that this, Mikey, and we talked to Bob Jones. He never responded to my inquiry where I said I thought that his comments in the February article, Carol Robideau's Manchester Inklink article, where he said that he put you down for being a Jew, I guess you're angry, the angry Jew. I said,
right.
I believe that's anti-Semitic. He never responded.
Really?
And here's the other thing, Matt. I was talking to Mikey about it. When Al Montoya came in, who incidentally I sent a letter, we're supposed to have a great community and family. I sent him a letter on May 8th saying that this was disrespecting the spirit of Ed Coyce, the great whistleblower who had just died. He never responded.
Yeah.
But I think he's between the rock and the hard place. But it's just outrageous what's going on. I believe that this was, when there was no stuff about LGBTQ community up there. So I would go down to Bedford, Mass., which, has all the outreach. But when Al comes in, suddenly they have the stuff there. All of a sudden, it's just disappearing.
Yeah.
And I've just done, I was starting to tell Mikey, I've done 3 sweeps. There's hardly anything there. And they don't have, in the VA, they'll have like a permanent thing behind a plastic. You can replace it. There's not one. So people actually taped one to something. But there's nothing there. 3 sweeps. There's barely anything there. It's almost like, because in the site of that, was it the Northeast POW Network, MIA Network? They have an article, Bob Jones. He was outraged because a congresswoman replaced the POW flag with a transgendered flag. Now, he doesn't say anything about transgendered people. And he actually wrote a letter to the Lowell Sun about it. But you have a president who allows himself to be used by Pence, and he allows Mikey. I believe that these evangelical Christians know that this most pious person to ever reach a high office in this land, who has an abortion clause in his NDAs.
This is absolutely. He's a willing hand puppet, and they use their Bible to try to rationalize, based out of the Old Testament and New Testament, where this has been done before. That he is just he may not be perfect, but God has chosen him. He's just like Moses stuttered. He may not have been a perfect speaker, but he had Aaron there to help him with it, because we know all of this stuff happened. Right? I'm not going to even get into any of that. The fact is that Trump, as long as they vote for Trump and they donate to Trump, and as long as he makes it clear that life as a born-again Christian for you in America, particularly better if you're white, male, and straight, but it's never been better than right now. Guys, I have to wrap up in about 90 seconds and get on the next interview, for which I'm 1 minute late for.
Okay. So, I'd like to have you back on my show next week. We'll talk about it, because this is outrageous, and I'm terminating my I was going to go up there, take my care back up there, but I'm terminating now.
Mikey, thank you so much. We know you got to run. Before you go, anything you just want us to know, or the listeners to know about anywhere they should be going online? Do you want to mention your website or anything like that?
Sure. Our website is militaryreligiousfreedom.org. I also like to say, if you want to see what these, any of you that are fans of the TV show Breaking Bad, my wife has a brand new book out that's only been out since August 13th, called When Christians Break Bad: Letters from the Insane, Inane, and Profane. In fact, I think John is going to be reviewing it soon. We've had a lot of reviews on it. It's the number one new release at various times here since the 13th of August at Amazon in 3 different categories. And if you want to see what these pious, hypocritical, maniac Christians really believe about people that try to stand up to them, make sure you have some sort of mind-altering drink in your hand, a nice beer, and read what's there. Some of it's so bad we had to host some of the pictures sent to us on our website, because it's just it's horrible, and it's been markedly worse since the Caligula-in-chief entered into his presidency, such as it is.
All right, Mikey Weinstein, thank you.
Great hearing from you.
Yes, thank you so much for the call. Let's talk again soon.
All right, thank you very much, John. Thank you for the journalism that you do.
Do you really
and for uncovering the lies that was a Bible given back to this former POW by his mommy when he got back from the war. It's not a historical artifact. It's a complete and total lie. I got to run. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
I was going to ask him the question. Somebody sent him a letter saying, my pastor told me that you're related to Harvey Weinstein, the rapist of women, and you're a Jewish rapist of Christians.
Wow.
You should see the anti-Semitic build she gets. But this Bob Jones, an angry Jew.
I believe it, yeah. Hello to Bill Murphy, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Bill had that. He was part of that meeting. Bill's he's been on the show. He's a pain patient advocate.
And I wanted to get him on my show after the primary 17.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Because I really believe in that.
Yeah.
And
Fred Vonig from the Daily Ripple and Ripple Radio.
Hey, Fred,
joins us in there as well. So, wow.
I'm not the agreeable John's here. He just got it all out. But I can't believe we're trying to build the community out of the ashes. And, we were doing this. And they just bulldoze in. Because we are spearheading the privatization of that, which is on a Koch brothers approved plan, and which has the oversight of somebody from Hospital Corporation of America. The Frist families, I think they sold their stock, and now one of the brothers is a billionaire.
The Frist family, as in Bill Frist?
Bill Frist made $15 million is fortune from the stock, but his brother became a billionaire.
Oh.
And now Gene Shaheen took a campaign contribution of $1,000 from Hospital Corporation of America. That was the first time anybody in New Hampshire, a New Hampshire Democrat, ever took the money. And Billy Shaheen, his law firm, has the lobbying contract for Hospital Corporation of America, which was hovering over Elliott Hospital last year when it was almost bankrupt. And it just bought the hospital in Carol Shea Porter's hometown. What is it, Frisbee?
I don't know.
I mean, but nobody talks about this stuff.
Right.
When I told Chris Pappas' staffer about this, his eyes rolled in his head. But Gene Shaheen is the head of the part, it's the Shaheen machine. I'm extremely disappointed in her, and I won't support her for Senate.
We have another call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, Matt, it's Mike Doyle.
Mike Doyle, how are you, sir?
Good. How you been?
Good. I heard what happened this morning.
Did you go to Saratoga? Did you go to Saratoga, Mike?
Yeah, I did.
Have
Last
fun?
Wednesday through Saturday. Had 3 beautiful days at 75 degrees, and then on the Wednesday, the first day, we had a tornado come through. But
Really?
other than that, yeah.
At Saratoga? Wow.
It's so beautiful
Yeah,
when you go there.
yeah. Oh.
But it was good. It went right through pretty quick. Within an hour, we
Oh.
were good to go.
Well, that's good.
A little bit wet, but the other 3 days were like, you couldn't ask for better weather.
Yeah.
75 with a breeze and with a bunch of Manchester guys and just chilling out.
My
Very
father
nice.
used
So
to
it
go
was
every
perfect.
year.
Very nice.
Hey, it was yeah. So thanks for talking about this morning.
What
I
happened?
wanted to try to not take the elevator and see if I could get to the room quicker, but I missed a step and
Did you get
and
hurt?
found the handrail on the center of my forehead.
Yeah, yeah. And any
Thank
blood?
God it wasn't my nose or my teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding, no kidding. Well, any
But,
blood, or did it just leave a mark?
Oh no, I got a half a boiled egg on my forehead.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Mike, we're old
Yeah,
now.
I
Taking the
guess I
stairs.
had a cut on my knee. My back's killing me.
Oh man.
So
oh,
yeah,
that
it was
sucks.
it was when you don't see it coming
Yeah.
and you just go down, it happens. But,
Peter.
yeah, just quickly, I was listening to the Pence thing, and I was listening to this guy and your guy, and I'm not sure I understand where the discord here is between what's going on and didn't Pence say that he just wants to remain all religious freedom?
No,
in the
this
VA?
is in my opinion. You could read my articles. I can send you links to them. First of all, I believe that this Bible was placed there because it was the exact time that the Bladensburg Peace Cross case was taken up by the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, the Bladensburg Supreme Court case, I had a attorney on there, Joseph Steinfeld, and he had said he expected it to be upheld, that it was constitutional because it's venerable, it's old, it's of its time when the cross was like a symbol of World War I. And Justice Breyer, who was Jewish, agreed, and to the liberals, and he wasn't. It's interesting, but the fact is, Mike, they had a Bible in there. For it to pass constitutional muster, to be in the pre-Bladensburg, what would you call it, test, and even Bladensburg, is that it had to be historical. So they lied that this Bible accompanied, which was about a 8-pound Bible, New Catholic Standard Edition, altar-sized, but which curiously was the same size of like the Wilkie Bible that he was sworn in, Secretary Wilkie, which had the story that was a World War I vet took through it.
Oh.
But that's more plausible because my grandfather's in World War I. It's a different type of war. But this guy was a B-24.
Isn't it just a symbol?
It's not a symbol.
Talking about a symbol?
No, it's not. A B-24 pilot shot down. First of all, he's in a flight suit with they have flak vests. They've got all the stuff. Where's he going to put this big Bible? But this is the story they're telling. He bailed out. He went through a John McCain-like thing where the peasants grab him and then the Germans save him, put him in a POW camp where this this Catholic Bible was supposedly, it got through all the vetting. And Bob Jones of the Northeast MIA POW network said, it could have cost him his life if he had it. But it was an inspiration to everybody. He has this huge Bible there. Then he escapes and takes it with him. The fact is, Mike, I found out it was a lie.
Yeah,
he was given the Bible afterwards. And here's another thing, Mike. In German prisoner of war camps, you were allowed to have a Bible. They did not take Bibles away from everybody. They gave it to them. This was a complete lie. This was a lie.
I don't understand your frustration.
Because there's no Bible should be, there should not be a Bible on a missing man table. First of all, it's an MIA table. If you listen to it, there are female veterans, Mike. My sister was a WAC.
Why
My
can't
ex
it
was a
be
WAC.
there?
Why should it be there?
Why can't it be there?
Because it's establishment of religion.
Why can't the Quran be
because
there?
You don't know. He doesn't know the story. Read.
Why can't anything? Why the
Mike,
Talmud?
Mike, they took the stuff off.
The Quran.
People came and put stuff on, and they took it off. This is in my opinion, this is a act of the Trump 2020 campaign, and I was covering the Trump rally, and what did I say? This guy, Trump is not Hitler. He's Pat Sajak. Everybody had a great time. They were making, shaking their hands at us like, oh, the call and response, and then we're all like buddies. There was no threat. There was no anything. It was actually a good time there. But he did mention religious liberty because I don't think he really gives a damn. And a few days ago, he couldn't even answer any questions about a Bible, remember?
Right, of course.
This is Pence.
Yeah, but what? So nobody's answered my question. What is the uproar? That it was a Bible there?
How if you...
instead of some other book?
How if you had been molested by a priest and you go in and there's a huge Catholic Bible there and you are forced to walk past it in the main foyer at Bedford, Massachusetts,
How
facility.
How about the fact that you're driving down Union or Pine and you got to go right by a Catholic church?
What does that bother me? What's that got to do with anything? That's there. That's there. This thing is put there, and it was a provocation. It violated the law. It violates constitutional law.
The Establishment Clause.
And it violated the law. It's not supposed to be there.
What all he was trying to say is
Pence
that all religions are welcome in the VA.
No, the Christian religion is there, and I had an incident with anti-Muslim bigotry, and Mike, come on, you have a president that is very provocative. I'm not going to say, you'll never see me calling me evil, and I say he's not racist.
Right.
He's just Donald Trump, who I've known since when I was in New York in 1983, reading the paper, and he had the generals, and he was bitching about everything. So I don't think he's the Antichrist.
Let me just read the statement of the Veterans Affairs guy, Wilkie.
Yeah.
All right. All he said was the military culture in which we grew up.
He's a law.
Prioritizes the ability of our troops to worship, their right to worship, their right to have access to chaplains, and a free celebration of their faith, he added.
What's a free celebration? What's a free celebration, Mike? Was that me being have you ever been in the military?
No, what does that have to do with anything?
Were you ever in the military? You're quoting him as an expert on military culture. I've been in the military.
I'm not expert. Who said that? You're making it up now. You're doing fake news.
He's there talking about
You're making it up. I never said he's an expert.
There it is. He's your authority, right? I was in basic
he's the head
training.
of the Veterans Affairs, and he's boiling it down to a simple paragraph that when these people come out of combat and come out of all the situations they can and all the illnesses they have,
that's not true.
When they go into the VA,
that's not true.
They should be able to practice any religion they want.
Are you a veteran?
There shouldn't be any.
Do you use the VA? Tell me that. Do you use the VA? Because I'm going to tell you something. I was in basic training and forced to go to church. My brother-in-law, my father, my brother, we were all forced to go to church. That kind of ended. I was at AIT in Texas, where they brought the lieutenant colonel chaplain in an Easter bunny costume. We were supposed to go through an Easter service, and my best friend was Jewish. And I went up because you know who I am. I'll go up to Mayor or John Silver or the NSA and tell them to go screw themselves. I went up and says, this is offensive, and I won't sit through it. And they allowed us to go. So religion was forced onto people.
Just explain this to me real quick.
Why did I force? I'll force you to become Muslim.
When he's saying our troops have the right to worship and have chaplains and free celebration of any faith they have at the VA.
What's free celebration?
What is it? How are we twisting that around to say?
What is free celebration, Mike? I was trained by the Defense Intelligence Agency to spy on Soviet Union. The Russians that are apparently... I was defending Trump the other day about, what Deutsche Bank. Right. I think a lot of the stuff... Watching MSNBC and CNN is just, for me, it's just, give me a friggin' break. Mm-hmm. But, what does free celebration mean? Free celebration
I'm reading it the other way. I'm sorry. I don't...
Because you don't have the experience.
It's just...
You don't have... Free celebration means proselytizing. They're going to take their version of the Bible and stuff it down your throat. I was here with Gary Hopper. He's a Congregationalist. I'm a Congregationalist, but I'm not a Christian to him because I don't believe his, what I would consider outlandishness, because I think Christ it's all metaphor.
Right.
And I expected the Congregationalists, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers, who have names like Moses and stuff, who were Protestant divines that came here in 1630, they'd hang Quakers, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing two different things. I understand what you're saying. But I'm just saying,
this is a campaign
he's straight out saying, if you're in the VA, you have the right to celebrate any faith you want.
No,
you have the right to have a chaplain. You have the right to. That's exactly what he said.
No, you don't. There's not. When you go into a VA, there's either a Protestant or a Catholic. You know, that's just the way it is, and even in a military unit. But here's the thing:
what
it's being
what if
forced
somebody was a
on
Muslim or some other entity that had their own religion but was an American citizen and fighting for the U.S. and he's not allowed to have, the faith that he wants to while he's in there trying to.
They can have any religion that they want.
I don't know. I'm missing something here, but
you don't force it on somebody, and you don't lie about it. The thing was, for that Bible, in my opinion, was a premeditated act to coincide with Bladensburg, and it was used. They justified putting that Bible to make it constitutionally valid when, Al Montoya, the director, took it away. Then it came back. They said it passed the venerable test. It went through this amazing friggin' journey, and I'm the person that found out by just talking to the Union Leader reporter that talked to the guy. It was an absolute lie, and Mike Pence just repeated that lie. That Bible isn't historic. It had no right to be there. It didn't pass any constitutional test. But
I don't know.
The law.
I guess that's your opinion.
It's not my opinion.
A little too.
It's not my opinion. The law is not an opinion.
It's a little too deep for me because all he said was the military culture has been part of my being, an important part of what I believe. I've seen the effects of combat both in uniform and out of uniform. And then he goes on to say,
Mike,
if you're in the VA, the ability of our troops to worship, you have the right to chaplains or to free to celebrate your faith. He
Mike,
added.
They're allowing proselytizing. They're allowing people to come up to you like the Hare Krishners used to at like San Francisco Airport. I probably have more sympathy with them. Mike, my father was a disabled American veteran. I used to go to VA hospitals with him, and it was really horrible but I'm not Clinton. No, I've been to VA hospitals. That is my health care provider for 10 years. Not one time, and all the time, has anybody ever complained about they didn't have access to a Bible, that they couldn't freely celebrate anything. Do you know what we should be all tattooed when we get out, born to BITCH. We BITCH about the VA, about the Army. If you're a Vietnam vet from the early days, you LBJ or Nixon or Obama or whatever. Nobody has ever mentioned religion ever, except the thing when the guy was doing.
All right, well, I gotta go.
I
just read it a different way.
They put it in your face, Mike.
Anybody should be able to practice any religion.
Can I just say to Mike, you're right, because they should be. That table, well, I'm against the table too, but Mikey's not. That table should be down in the cafeteria instead of in your face, right across from the Trump picture and the Wilkie picture, right in the main foyer. It should be down there, and you should be able to put different texts. And read Manchester Inkling. If you're on, the next time you're on the morning show, Carol Robideau, ask her about that. Because people took texts, like I think one was a Muslim text, one might have been non-denominational. They put them on there, and they took them immediately off. Mm-hmm. This is sticking a religion in your face, and it's based on a lie. And if you want to understand me, and I was on Norm's show, the thing that every veteran deals with when we're with each other is that it wasn't worth it, Mike. To have to every day to be tormented, to have a flashback. You're talking to your ex-girlfriend and things like, and she says something because she's Russian, and you're back listening. Well, let's not get into that. I'll have a flashback again. And what I went through was minuscule compared to the combat vets up there. They get triggered so easily. But what we said, it wasn't worth it. Right. It wasn't worth it. Life, it has, Things have to have meaning. Democracy has to have meaning. When I went in 2015 and called Ted Gatzis a liar at that meeting, I was thinking the flag and everything. Well, I shouldn't have, it was unconscionable what I did because I was having flashback. Remember the time when they just opened it up, the door to the PTSD? It's because when you lie about something, it makes what we sacrifice a mockery. When I crossed that line in the Manchester maps, I swore to defend the United States and the U.S. Constitution with my life. And I would do it again. But I'm not going to put my life in jeopardy because some yahoos want to create a Charlottesville by sticking their religion into somebody's face. This is deliberately provocative. But I'm going to say something, Mike. You're right a lot about Trump. And, you always think I'm some big anti-Trumper, but because I don't listen to you. Sometimes you don't listen to me. You're right. It should be a place where there's many religions. I offered this octagonal table I inherited from 1917. Let's use that. Put that down there. Have other religions. Have a setting there. So you're actually right. But Pence is bamboozling.
Following up, just let me finish this because I got to go. But following up on what I was saying, there's an article here. It says that Neil Gorsuch said and Wilkie said he's absolutely correct because he said even though you might be offended, doesn't give you standing to stop other people from worshiping. For me, it's not a military issue; it's a religious liberty issue.
That's a 30-foot
and the one that is vitally important to those who serve it.
That's a 30-foot cross.
I think they're trying to envelop it as a whole thing.
That was a 30-foot cross.
You guys are breaking it down as Catholic.
No, it has nothing to do with Catholic. We're talking about evangelical Christians. They're just they dishonored her, the World War II vet, by lying about his Bible.
Right.
He's almost 100 years old. They've dishonored every veteran by lying about him. It has nothing to do with Catholic. We're talking about evangelical Christians. They're the ones that are behind this crap. And the thing is, in San Francisco, they had a huge cross. You can see it in Dirty Harry. And you had to hear, it's blah, blah, blah. They ought to take it down. And then they gave it to a private thing. I was never into that stuff. It's a cross. It's been there forever. FDR lighted it and stuff. Yeah. And it's the same thing like the Bladensburg cross.
I don't know, and I don't want Hoppy to explode, but I think you're digging into this way too deep.
No, it's created a hostile environment.
You know what? We'll wait for Fred because he always calls right after I call.
It's created a hostile environment.
We'll wait to see what he says.
It's created a hostile environment.
All right, Mike. Thank you for the call. All right, bye-bye.
There's a big difference, seeing a cross when you're going around.
Who shot John out of the cannon this morning or this afternoon?
Well, because I've been
yike.
I think
very emotional.
Well, yeah, because I have to terminate. I'm terminating my care at this Manchester VA because the Trump campaign 22 is creating another potential Charlottesburg because this is the first in the nation primary. And Mike Pence was lying. He's lying about that Bible. Ask Carol Robideau about it. I'm the one who broke the story that they lied about that Bible.
All I can say is I'm very happy to be living in the age of Trump.
Who likes that? Gives you something to talk about.
Imagine that spewing out of his mouth. The age of Trump?
The age of Trump.
That's going to go down in flames big time.
This is the dawning of the age of Trump.
The dawning of the age of Trump.
Yes.
As of the age of Aquarius. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I disagree with Mikey that they think he's like the whole, what was it?
Mikey Weinstein.
Mikey Weinstein, the Cyrus that's going to, like in Israel, he's considered by some very ultra-religious Jews, the Cyrus that's going to save Israel. I believe...
Well, he is the king of Israel, according to Wayne Allen Root.
These evangelical Christians, and that doesn't mean every evangelical Christian. I'm just talking about this group. And Mikey brought up something that I didn't really know about this like cult or something that Pence is part of. I mean, cult like
the family,
family.
Well, they're dominionists, aren't they? Is that the same thing?
I don't really know. But I'm going to find out.
It gets very confusing.
I have to for the lawsuit.
I just know they're all nuts.
This whole time in our lives is very confusing.
It is.
But they lied. And they're deliberately lying now. They don't care whether they lie. Right. And as I said, you remember when he converted to he was born again when we were doing our 2 shows in 2016?
Oh, yeah.
And you were aghast, and I was just, oh, my God, he'll say anything. He's just a hustler.
Of course.
These evangelical Christians, he's family, whatever you want, they don't believe he's Cyrus. They believe he's the Antichrist because they lie. He has a utility. Who has more utility to bring about the second coming and it's going to come through Armageddon than this Antichrist that has his finger in the button. Now, you know what I think about Trump. I don't think he's Hitler. I don't think he's evil.
right.
I don't even think he's a racist. He's Pat Sajak, running his version of Jeopardy. I was at the rally. It was kind of fun. We had a good time.
Well, that's
Except
good.
he talked forever.
Well, yeah.
And we're in the audience. We are
Right,
definitely
yeah.
the audience.
He had the best music.
He does.
I go in there. It's sympathy for the devil.
He does.
Please allow me to
He does
introduce
tend to speak a long time.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
Yes.
And he mentioned religious liberty. They just gave him a quiz on the Bible, dear old Donald. He doesn't know anything. He knows less than I do.
about
He doesn't read. Come on.
I love the clip where I forget the journalist who asks him who asked him a couple of years ago, which book do you prefer? The Old Testament or the New Testament? And he's just like, well, I think I like them both equally. I think he just
Doesn't have a clue.
But he doesn't even try. But I've always said my favorite one. If I had the clip, I would play it. Is the one where he's like, because he's just dripping with insincerity during the 2016 campaign. Like somebody in the crowd holds up a copy of Art of the Deal, and he sees it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Art of the Deal. That's my second favorite book. But you all know what my favorite book is, right? Yeah, the Bible. Yes, of course, the Bible." And he's so insincere, and I swear, I know in his mind he's got to be thinking, how far can I push this? And how insincere can I be where these rubes will just eat it up?
But see,
They've eaten it up.
When he said early in the campaign I could shoot somebody in Fifth Ave and get away with it.
He was right.
He was right.
But he was talking about,
He was
I
definitely
can't
right.
believe it,
Yeah,
I'm beyond the tough one. Because you have to understand he's a real New Yorker, and it's a specific type of personality where you're always being, I can't use the vulgar phrase. They don't even want to use the other one since this is family radio. Let's say being tiddled with or something.
Well, we do have two gentlemen here who are a member of a family, yes.
Oh, yeah. And not the family, though.
No, not the family. And I mean that they're related. I don't mean that you guys are
That'd be the Diane family.
I don't mean that you guys are like mobbed up or something.
No.
I realized after I said that, it sounded a little, we got some members of the family,
forget about it.
They're friends of ours, if you know what I mean.
My friend Jocelyn knew Linda Kasabian after the Manson massacre.
Oh, really?
She was living in Mount Vernon.
Oh, yeah.
She had a smokehouse where she had a slaughtered hog, and she'd go around with a knife.
Wow.
Everybody knew
everyone needs a hobby. I mean,
everybody knew she.
That's a hobby.
I guess. Why not? Everybody's got their something. Hey, some people collect stamps. All right, that's going to do it. We are out of time for this best of edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed. But thank you all so much for listening. And of course, you can hear Matt Connarton Unleashed weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 p.m. live on WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. We take your calls. We have some fun. We talk some politics. We have more fun. I think politics is fun. I really love it. But we get into some other stuff too. And a lot of times the clips that we include in our best of shows aren't necessarily political. Not always. Sometimes they're just goofy and silly. And, Father Bruno calls in and, we have a good time on the show. We try not to be too serious and not heavy all the time. So it is, I think it's a pretty unique show for FM radio. Personally, and I'm very proud. I'm proud of the show, and I'm very happy that so many of you listen to it. I take tremendous pride in that as well, and I am eternally grateful to all of you who support the show, and even those of you who might hate the show. Because people do that too. People listen to things. When Howard Stern was not that I'm comparing myself in any way to Howard Stern. He is hugely famous, and I am not. And he's extremely rich, and I'm not. But, when Howard was first getting really big, when his radio career was on its ascent, when he started out, a lot of people would listen to him. They would say, "Oh, I hate that guy," but I can't help but listen to him because I want to hear what he has to say next. I want to hear how he's going to upset me next. So there's a little bit of element of that to Matt Connarton Unleashed. But anyway, but I am, as always, very, very grateful to all of you who support the show and to WMNH for supporting the show. All the help that I get from the great Peter White of The Morning Show with Peter White, who also, of course, is the lifeblood of the organization at WMNH. And he's a good sport as well because he actually does take some abuse on my show, but he has a great sense of humor about it. You know, I mean, think about it, right? That clip I played earlier, poor Peter White, he's got Father Bruno calling all the way in from Rome, claiming that Peter White is on the express train to hell. You know, so I have some sympathy for Peter White. No, but he's a tremendous help. And without him, none of this would be possible. So also be sure to check out The Morning Show, weekday mornings from 7 to 9 a.m. with a replay from 2 to 4 p.m. right before my show. And then, of course, you can hear The Morning Show during the day later on today, on Saturday, every Saturday afternoon into the late afternoon. So lots of great stuff going on here. So with that, I will bid you adieu again. Please join me live weekdays 4 to 6. And, of course, if you don't get to catch the show live, you can always listen to it later at WMNHradio.org, where we do archive all the shows. And, of course, they're up on our Facebook pages for our individual shows, for all the shows here at WMNH, and our YouTube page. And also, too, I always forget to do this, but we have a Facebook page specifically for WMNH 95.3. Please give that a like if you haven't done so already. All right, we are out of time for this best of. I will talk at you live on Monday afternoon on Matt Connarton Unleashed. Bye for now.